It are that time.
Everybody want to stand up and join in and salute the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the January 2012 meeting, and we'll see if we can get going here. Just wait for Ellen to come back in here for a couple of things.
So she has to be out of breath when she gets here.
There you go. Something for your file. Everybody's got something. It's 6 o'clock and all's well.
Okay.
We're all done.
Yeah, just it. Thank you.
Motion we adjourn.
Did I have approval for the minutes from the last meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Yeah.
We already did that.
I missed it again?
Yeah, you missed it again.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Who wants to make a second on that?
I'll second.
Thank you.
And can I have a motion to pay the bills?
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
At this time of the meeting, we open it up for public comment, so if anybody that has any public concerns would like to address the board.
Is this where you want me to talk?
Well, I would wait. I'd like to see if, when Joe gets here, to have you talk about that, to
Okay.
see if there's any legal matters there that he should be aware of or anything like that.
Well, you know that our whole philosophy is much easier to get forgiveness than it is permission.
Right. So.
I got this letter here from Brad Miller saying something about reduce the STAR program, and I don't understand it very well, but it says something about my transferring some property or selling some or something, that my income had changed. I haven't done no such thing, so I don't know where they got their information or whether that's what it means or what. And I brought this letter to find out what it's all about.
Let's see if I can help you. You didn't sell anything?
I didn't sell anything,
Okay.
didn't transfer anything,
Okay.
haven't done nothing.
May I make a copy of this and I'll give it to Brad and then I'll call you
Well,
tomorrow?
that came from him, so he must have a copy of something.
Well, I'll just make a copy of it quick.
He's supposed to be here, man, too.
Okay. I'll make a copy, gentlemen.
Well, whatever.
Okay. This is Ferguson's right there. So here, you can sit down and explain it to her how you did that. Okay. Yep.
Is there any other public concerns? The appointments for 2012 are on in front of you. If you have any questions, you can see me on it. Alton, I did as you said.
Yeah, you was smart. A lot of them are reading, so.
Are you happy?
I don't care what you do, it's your nap, not mine.
Okay.
We need a motion to accept or decline.
Huh?
We need a motion to accept the appointments or decline.
I make that motion.
Second?
Go ahead.
All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, our number one item on the thing is I'd like to get the books audited this year, but not until the beginning of April, so we can get Alan through the tax season. I'd like to put it out for 3 quotes, so that's going to take some time anyway. I was wondering if I could get a motion on that. It's been a couple of years since we've had the books audited. We usually do it when a new supervisor takes over.
I'll make a motion just to get 3 quotes as long as we're
Well,
committed.
and, yeah, we're going to get a quote anyway. We're going to get 3 quotes.
Hard to get them. Probably know what we're going to do.
You familiar with that, Alan?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
As far as getting quotes or pricing for an audit?
I suppose it would be like anything else.
I mean, we have to probably be specific as far as what we want audited. Don't we?
2 years.
If we want, I mean, you can't just say you want everything audited.
No, you can't.
Forever.
No,
You
that
have
is-
to specify the years and what the scope of the audit is.
If you want to include justice, I don't know.
We don't know, but we got a feeling they're coming.
Well, they're coming, why are you spending?
Well, you,
Well, we
you'll
might
have
not
the quotes
it,
on
but
hand.
I'm just saying that we got to do this.
Yeah, you get the quotes and then decide on it when we find out what the state's doing.
Right. Probably when we find out what the state's doing, in the morning they show up at the front door. Because they don't.
Mandate.
How long has it been since they've been here, Alan?
Oh, God, state,
13, isn't there something?
yeah, something around that. But we had the books audited 4 years ago.
So I just like to.
But that wasn't a complete audit, was it?
That was basically my office, the bookkeeper's office, the highway superintendent.
That's basically what I'm looking for, that's all.
How much is that?
I have to find the price.
Wasn't that much, I think 2,500 or something like
No, it
that.
was more than that, I believe.
Yeah, it was.
It was more than that.
When we did that, we picked a couple of years. 5, 6, 7, if I remember right.
Well, we'll go ahead and get the quotes and see where it comes in at.
But Dale is kind enough to wait until the beginning of April.
Right, I wouldn't do that, Al, in the middle of the tax season.
What's money in there for?
Right.
So, is that, gentlemen? Yes?
Good price quote.
We got a price quote.
We'll set on it.
The second item on the agenda is David and I and Brent kind of met, and we're trying to get this bookkeeper situation situated and straightened out, because as you know, we've had some problems there in the past. And so we sat down and talked to Bill. He feels he needs more hours here to do the books properly, and he sent us in a price quote. And right now we're paying him $1,100, and to give him 8 more hours per month, where he feels that he can do the books comfortably, it would go up to $1,400. I would like a motion on that, so our books, David is happy with that. He feels that he can get the information, and feels this will take care of it. So it's, that's the difference. It's going to go from $1,100 to $1,400 a month. But I think that's going to take care of our right. And
So that's $3,600 a year, and one of the things that we're asking is if at these meetings that we can have reports that are current to this meeting date or to the closest month end, and also what our fund balance is, because that's something that I've had difficulty figuring out what the fund balance is. There's so many different ones.
We used to always get it. We always used to get it.
I heard you used to get it, but you haven't done it in a while.
And Jesse is willing to work with Bill on this, and I'd like to have Jesse start attending our meetings on this, so we can have her to use her in case we have some financial answers. No, but they don't last that long.
Don't we get our report before the meeting like we used to? And if we have a question, we can have her in.
Okay.
We are going to get this stuff before the meetings, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah. You are. My apologies.
I live up.
I'll try to find you.
I'm just down the road.
Okay.
I'll pick it up if I can.
Who's going to pay for my gas to go to Florida and take it down the gym?
Man,
This is the stuff that I'd like to see us get before the meetings.
oh, you just don't need that. All you need is this.
Well, David and
All the
I,
bills are right in there.
yeah,
But if you have a question about one of them,
Yeah,
You need to
well,
go to the
if
index.
Yeah, if you have a question.
that's what I'm
If
saying.
you've got this, you know, you can basically cover the whole thing.
Is
yeah,
that
but
right?
David and I talked about this, and he feels the same as I do on this, is he'd like to see the bills come out a week early, where you guys can come into the office and review them if you want to, at your pleasure,
Yeah.
at your leisure. And this way, if you do have a question, you've got time to prepare yourself and everything, and it gives us time to look into the
The
bill.
problem is the bill don't come.
No.
That's why we moved our meeting to the second week, so because the bills come the 10th.
Yeah.
Everybody sends the bills out by the 10th,
Yeah.
pays by the 10th. And that's why we went to the second week, so we could pay our bills.
Yeah.
So we hold our meeting the first Wednesday of the month, the bills would come 3 days later, and we couldn't pay for 30 days.
They still
Right.
might get
And they
here.
still do. Some of them still do.
They still might get here ahead of the 10th.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of times they don't.
I know, but we,
And another thing I'd like to see is, on these bills, is I'd like to see the line item it's coming out of, the beginning balance of the line item, and then what's the ending balance in that line item. And we're not seeing that neither.
You know, some towns have a drop dead date. If the bill's not there by that date, it doesn't get on that month's audit report, and it gets paid the following month.
Right.
And if the vendors know that, then they know that if they don't get their bill in there by, a certain date, they're not going to get paid for 35, 40 days. So,
But David, isn't that what we talked about? You'd like to see these bills reviewed ahead of time, and
Well,
Bill didn't have any problem doing
If Bill's
it.
gonna put in more hours, maybe we got him set up so he gets it done on Monday. The bills
Right.
are turned into him, and that will give you the 3-day.
Yeah, 3 days.
I
That way
just
it
think,
wouldn't
I
conflict
yeah, I
what
just
you're
think
doing.
they should be reviewed.
I don't have a problem with that.
But
Okay.
we used to go through that one.
I mean, Ellen could contest it more than I do. I think he needs more time. It's hard to get a hold of him. It's
No,
hard
we
to-
didn't have a
We
printout.
had to go one by
That's,
one.
that's the one I looked at, but I did look in there tonight to see what was going on.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Checks are wrote.
Yeah, but it isn't cut down. It isn't
I mean,
broken
difference
down.
between Friday and Monday, like all my bills, I can post them, have them here Friday. You know what I mean? So he's got them here the first thing Monday morning.
So we're okay to go ahead with the increase for Bill and his hours?
We already did that, didn't we?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
I mean, we're looking at 80 or 90 bills, $200,000 worth of stuff, because it's once a month, right?
Okay, on our website and internet, a lot of you are not aware, but New York State has made it so that we got to be more transparent, and starting in February, we have to post our meeting and our agenda on our websites, and so that the public knows as to what's going on and some other information. I would like to hire Jesse at $10 an hour to make sure that information is there every month for us, and that our website is kept current. If we hire a firm to do it, it's going to cost us more, and it's something the state law says we have to do now.
Where's the money?
Well, I took a $10,000 reduction in today.
And we reduced it on the budget that night.
Yeah.
That's already been cut out of the budget.
That's been, our budget is,
We reduced your money out of your pay for budget officer already that night of the meeting.
And the $4,000 from the
It's been reduced.
contractual expense account also?
You'd have to-
$14,000?
You'd have to amend the budget.
we'll have to find it somewhere or.
That's already been taken out for 14 grand.
$10 an hour, we got to do it by state law. You can't ask somebody to do it for nothing.
Well, if you
Well,
amend the
your
budget
meeting, you
tonight.
want to pay it, go for it.
Okay, but it's not part of her job. Right now, she's deputy clerk, she works for Ellen. She's willing to do it to help us out.
We don't do it, we're in violation of.
Well,
Joe,
we
do you
may have to
tell us
ma-
about that law?
We may have to amend the budget to
Yes.
get something, so they got.
It's not going to add up to a lot of money.
At the risk of being sounding ridiculous, if they can mandate it, why can't they fund it?
Yeah.
How
Well,
many years
that's-
you worked
that's
for the
one of
federal
the-
government, you ought to be able to answer that yourself.
And that's one of the things we're going through with the state right now.
Oh, that's fine, we just need to be on record of who wants it, who doesn't, in case it ever comes back on us. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that's the way we could handle it. I'm for it because it's a law and we're supposed to have it done. We're looking at $10 an hour, that's how many hours a week we talking? 2 hours?
Probably at the max, 2 hours.
2 hours a week.
So
We're looking at $1,000 in 52 weeks.
Right. I don't think that's a lot of money.
Can't do it, we can't do it.
Well, you can always think it through and come back to it.
Yeah, maybe you can go through that budget, find some money.
Okay. That will do.
When's the deadline?
It's gotta be done, it's gotta be done by February.
Yeah.
She's already started it.
Okay. Well, Rob and Gus, I guess you're up next for Route 12 and Otter Street.
Just put a list. We don't have to go through each one in detail, but real quick, Otter Street, we should hear, we should get a funding commitment at any time, sometime before mid-February.
This brings it down under.
Project, so.
How much is that supposed to be for?
$750. Grant, and the rest in loan interest, about $1 million loan interest loan. So that should happen at any time. We did submit a hardship application from EFC. We got a better point scoring. We talked about this a little bit in December, but we did get the point scoring was such that a lot of projects above us dropped out, and so they asked us to submit a hardship application, which we did. That might allow us to go back to the original scope and get the water line back out to Beavers, but we won't hear on that probably for a couple months yet. So this will at least allow us to move forward with the first phase, so to speak, of Otter Street. And Brett, you had a question earlier where that was.
Tommy got it.
It's that red line is pretty close to where it is. So,
And Rob, on that, on Otter Street, one of the last items you were waiting for rural development was the agreement, modification
That's
agreement
right.
with the village, which
Yep.
we got notified today it was approved by the village board,
okay.
and I'll just need this board to approve it tonight so we can get it signed.
It's in their packet.
Okay.
Send it back, and I was gonna bring that up after this.
Okay.
The other thing we
Didn't mean to
need-
jump ahead.
No, that's
Okay,
fine.
that's
Joe.
good. That's good. The other thing we should do is revisit those easements and see what's lacking. I know we had a few that came in
I'll have
late
a-
last year.
I'll have a list done and emailed to you so you can take a look at that versus what we have to have.
Right. That's Otter Street. Anybody have any questions on that? And of course, the Route 3 or the Route 12 water extension. We've had a lot of discussion with the funding agencies and of course the developer of Blue Properties on what we need to do to get the next phase in place. It is about a $3 million project, and since rural development is capping their grants at $750, there's no doubt we're going to need some other funding to supplement that. We've started some discussions with Dale, and we've also had some preliminary discussions with Orleans to see if we can't utilize the problem we have in Orleans to help get us there via the DOT. So I know Dale, we've spoken, tried to get a meeting together with Kevin Rarick here soon on that. I think he's available soon. Have you had any other discussions with him?
Just the other day on the phone,
Okay.
saying that we had to get together soon. He wants to get moving on it too. He's anxious to get moving on it.
So that's a priority. The Route 12 sewer, we've had the same discussion with rural development about that. However, the service area is a little larger. It's going to include the mobile home parks, 3 of the mobile home parks. So that application will go into rural development. They'll evaluate it to see if we can get on their list for funding for next fiscal year for the sewer as well. That's kind of where we are with that. With that, though, we do need to coordinate with Orleans and Clayton because that will take significant excess capacity from the plant, and an upgrade will probably have to follow if this gets built out. So the intermunicipal agreement should be reviewed, and we're going to have to get everybody together because I do think there is also some interest in Orleans and Clayton.
We should reactivate the committee of
That's a great idea.
the municipalities. Because that's where we should start with those discussions, I think.
Right, absolutely. So how would Dale, do you want to take the lead in that, or do you want us to initiate that with the towns and try to set up a joint meeting with Justin and Kevin?
Why don't you move forward with it?
Okay.
Okay?
And then
I talked to Justin the other day on the phone. He's ready to move on it.
Okay.
And Kevin called me back. We didn't really talk about the Route 12 sewer. We talked more about the water because we felt that was a more important issue at the time.
Right.
Especially with this development up there coming in across from Mr. Cole's property and the contamination issue we have up there. So we didn't talk much on the Route 12 sewer at all, to be honest with you.
The current IMA on the sewer provides for a committee made up of representatives from all 3 towns to deal with any issues, and I think that committee would be appropriate to be the one to start talking about the allocation of the capacity and that sort of thing.
Right.
And I think it calls for each town to designate representatives to the committee. I'm not sure how many. I thought it was 2 board or 2 apiece, something like that.
I believe you're right. At one time it was.
Yeah.
Doug, didn't you attend some of those meetings at one time?
I think it's 2 members from each town, so you might want to consider that.
Okay. Well, Doug and Elson, I believe, are on the Route 12 sewer and water, so they would be our committee people on that.
Okay, well, we can initiate it. We'll make contact and try to set it.
Get Doug a drain.
What's that?
Jim? Okay.
Any questions on that? Municipal office building, I don't know if you recall, we sent in a pre-application last year for replacement of the heating system for this building. Because the furnaces are old, they're oil-fired, and we did finally get a response back from USDA last month. I'm not sure if you came across the correspondence, Dale.
I haven't, yeah.
But basically, they said that it is an eligible project for their community facilities program, and that we have to do a little engineering report and a final application if we were interested in having it funded. It was a geothermal system that we had talked about earlier, where we drill wells and replace the furnaces with heat pumps, and the central air would come from, the air conditioning would come from the geo as well. So that's something, obviously you don't have to talk about tonight, we have time, but if that is something that you're interested in, we should move forward with the application at some point in time.
Does the board have any objection with them moving forward with the application?
The application is probably a day or 2 work. It's $500 probably. Like that. It's not huge. Most of the work is done.
Half a tank of oil right now.
What are the funding levels as far as, is it similar to the solar?
No, it probably won't be that good. The community facilities program doesn't usually fund to those levels. I'm not sure what their current allocation is, but typically they give maybe a 10 or 20% grant to go along with the loan. But they'll loan you the money as well, so you don't have to do anything. And they give you some grant money that doesn't have to be paid back. So
system here?
Original. And I think maybe one of the furnaces may have been changed once.
They were.
But what's happened is you've had a lot of condensation of flue gas, and you can see the acidic condensation has run down flue pipes into the heat exchangers. Expect they're near the end of their useful life, so it's a good time to think about it, plan for it, if we can get the money.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. As far as the solar, all the solar projects are done with the exception, David, we still have to get the meter pulled, make that final connection. They were supposed to do it this week. The transfer site is done. We're going to turn that on this week, but those were the two extra projects we recall where we had money left over. So they should be wrapped up this week. And then you'll be getting a final reimbursement, Dale, from NYSERDA, which will be the final payment from them to pay for the systems.
Okay.
And you'll be seeing some invoices for the work, the final work for that. And then finally, Redstone, just to note, we've been at meetings the last couple nights with Redstone, or Blue Property. We continue to work with the planning board in reviewing that development.
Looks good.
I would say yes, wouldn't you? I'd say it's moving forward in a positive way, yes.
Very good.
I got this on the furnace last night.
Two of the three
Yeah.
variants were granted. One can't be granted until secret
Right.
completed.
They can't grant the area variance on the lot coverage until the planning board completes seeker, and that can't be completed until, they get a lead agency established. So it's at least until sometime in February.
Where are we with what we have into it, what they bonded for, or paid for?
I don't know.
What was the question?
As far as the soft costs that they've
Yeah.
floated, I don't
Where are we
know
as far as
that.
soft
How
costs
much
are
is that then?
We probably don't know exactly, right?
I think they put in 5.
Did they put in 5 initially?
They didn't put in anything. They just paid your outstanding
That's
bill and
right.
our outstanding bill. They never signed the agreement and never put any money up.
I'm seeing a lot of paperwork here with a lot of letterhead on it from Joe and from you guys, and I'm just kind of who's paying for what here.
Yeah, we don't have a whole lot into it since the invoice they paid. I don't think we've been to a
Not
few
nearly as
meetings.
much as the first time.
Yeah.
I just think we need to stay out of it.
They're paying for it. We keep a cap in there that they pay for.
Well, that was, we proposed an agreement, yeah.
Yeah, but they've been paying right along.
They only paid once. They paid,
We ate the second one, didn't we?
we got paid once. They paid Rob's bill and they paid my bill. You guys agreed to
Not the second.
put the next level of
Right,
review.
The next one.
Yeah, I don't think we've only invoiced once.
Right, but they agreed to allow us to review what they submitted in response to your first inquiries, but they haven't authorized beyond that. And, the whole planning board review that just started, I think this board expects Blue Properties to cover, right? We need an agreement with them, and we need to revisit that with them. So, if that's what your desire is, I think it's time to institute some conversations with Harvey.
Okay.
Just everybody agree we have to cover our costs here on.
Well, we do cover our costs.
That's what I'm
It's the way it is. We do cover our costs. But what happened is that the first time wasn't correct.
Well, what happened was, the way we initially proposed this, which was an escrow agreement that they would fund, and then you would pay your bills from it, okay, which is how it's normally done with a developer. they wouldn't agree to sign that. They were claiming that, you know, they were going to sign a blank check and that they were nervous about it and they wouldn't put the money up. So things got stalled because it is a condition to your zoning ordinance that they agree to pay. Things got stalled and we said, the town board said, no further review until we resolve this. They agreed to pay the outstanding invoices. The town board agreed to allow us to do the next review, which has happened already. But now we're into the planning board, public hearing and review and zoning board stage.
So we're past that next review.
We're past that next review.
Okay. So we're in current costing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the only leverage you got.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Rob. Joe, can you go ahead and explain to the board on this modified agreement and infrastructure agreement we have with the village?
Yeah, part of the Otter Street water project includes a new water main. I'm not sure exactly from where to where, but part of it's within the village. Okay. In the funding that we're getting from rural development is going to cover the expense of the new water main. Basically, I think it's from where Otter Street hits Church Street. Down across the bridge into where the town line is. We're going to install that new water line as part of the project. And it comes out of rural development funds. Typically, we want the village to own their own water main and to maintain their own water main. However, rural development will not fund a project unless the grantee of the funds is the owner of the infrastructure. So the modification agreement basically says during the term of the rural development loan, the town is going to own that infrastructure, but the village is basically going to maintain it. You know, they could hook the village people up to it and that sort of thing. Rural development will not allow us to have a provision in there that automatically reverts ownership to the village upon the end of the rural development loan. We used to be able to do that. They won't let us do it anymore. So basically, the modification agreement to our current IMA with the village says we will own the water line. The second agreement, which is an infrastructure agreement, which rural development won't get, basically says when the rural development loan is up, the village owns the water line. So we just broke those two things into two agreements. That's what you have before them. I got notification today from Mark Gibo's office that the village has approved those two agreements. They've been signed by the mayor. I need you guys to approve those two agreements so that I can then, when I get the originals in from the mayor, I can get Dale's signature. We can get them to Gus and Rob, and that completes the RD package, I believe. It's the only thing that's outstanding. So I just need your approval on those two agreements.
Can I get approval from the board to move forward on this?
I'll make a motion.
Second? Doug?
Yeah.
Sounds like you have reservations.
Okay, and on the other matter, as we have, the town is looking to be lead agent on what we just got done talking about on
The planning board has declared lead agency status for the seeker review for Blue Properties. The process is they have to provide notification to all of the other agencies that have any sort of approving authority over the project that they want to be lead agency, and then those other involved agencies either consent or they have 30 days to file objections. You're getting a letter as the town board because you're probably going to have to approve the hookup to the sewer plant. So just over an abundance of caution, I included the town board as an involved agency. I just need you to basically authorize Dale to sign the consent to the planning board to be lead agency under seeker. That's all that is.
Motion? Second?
So do, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
At this time, Fran was here last month and explained to us that he wants to do something and he's having a hard time finding who owns the property, what he wants to do over there at the Butterfield dock or unloading ramp. And so I guess
Okay.
he's got some questions.
No, real essentially is, a lot of complaints is people on the state, what we all know is the state launching site, you know, where they can pull the trailer in and put their boat in the water. What they were saying, could you do something that we don't have to jump out of the boat, walk through the water, and pull our boat out there? And there was somebody willing to put a little, quote, dock, and all it consists of, and I didn't like his diagram, but essentially a little dock that they can come up, that people can get out of the boat and walk ashore, and they can pull their, by the rope, pull the boat to where they can put it on their trailer and get it out of there. Well, the thing is when we wanted to tell the state that we want to put this ramp in the state launch site, is nobody in the state would admit that that's our launch site. And we've been going round and round and round. This is a generic, so that you know what we're talking about. All it essentially is there's a bunch of heavy timber 6 foot wide. It starts from the shoreline and goes out. That shows a cover over it, and it shows 2 of them. The man that was going to do the work didn't show up at our meeting last night so that we could recommend of what we really wanted. So we give a generic one that isn't really useful, but it does show the way of the construction. But where we're really getting stuck is, if you know Nicole Caldwell there from Mitter Farm, she's the president. She's called 5 offices at state. Just like with the Robinson Garage, everybody got in a circle and pointed to the next one in line of who, oh, that's their job, that's their job, that's their job. And what it amounts to is couldn't get an answer. And I'm one of them people say, let's just build it and ask for permission since we can't get, or ask for forgiveness since we can't get permission. Mainly what we come, I asked Dale, who, is that really a state, is that a state launch site?
Yeah, they put it in.
You know, then why don't they admit it is? I know Dave has put a bunch of gravel there, but because there's nothing to hold the gravel in place, it keeps getting dispersed. And but at least we want so that they don't have to jump out of the water and put it in, they can walk ashore.
Alexandria was in office when that dock took place, that ramp.
Well, yeah, but, well then, now, see if he don't own it, even if he was the supervisor.
Contact.
And, but the thing with it is, talk about frustration of who's in charge.
Brandon, I got a number at the office, I can't think of his name off his head, but he's the one that's in charge of the, you know, where they're doing the work down there in the parking lot and everything.
Yeah.
He's in charge of that. I'll give him a buzz, and if you want to step in, I'll give you the number.
Okay, but again, all we just want to tell somebody, this is what we plan on doing. No, it's not going to cost anybody a dime.
There is no dock in the state right
We just want to let you know, this is what we're going to put in place.
Anywhere, I mean.
Liability issue.
Huh?
It may be a liability issue there.
What's not good?
Somebody gets hurt on your dock.
Right there.
What if somebody drowns trying to pull their boat out of the water? Who's liable for that? I mean, I think it's a non-issue. I know everybody's worried about tort law and going to court for being sued.
Well, what they spent for the thing, putting all the leaks, they didn't want to transfer from one thing to the other. The 6x6 pressure treated beams that they built, all they made was a trash can for everybody down by the lake, so they could have built the dock.
No, I'm
I
just
got a
saying.
number, I don't know if he handled, but I know he's handling that parking lot issue, so.
Well, actually, all we need to do is, who do we really need to talk to? No, because, oh, well, you know Nicole.
Because technically, town has absolutely nothing to do with that, you know, it's a
Oh,
lake
no.
and then the state right away for their own.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's best that if you know that what we're up to.
Best we don't know.
Huh?
Best we don't know.
Well, you figure we can get forgiveness easier than you can get permission.
I never saw a dock at a state launch, did you?
No, this is just something, no.
I know what you're talking about, but I never saw one before.
Oh, no, there was a bunch of people that asked, isn't there some way?
I know.
And since it costs a little bit of nothing,
But you're fighting City Hall, it's fighting.
well, naturally.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, well, like I say, but didn't talk to the guy last night because he didn't show up. And he sent overly complicated diagrams, rather than just something to get out of the boat and walk ashore.
Might better get some of these big cement blocks and just lay them out through there, and they'd be permanent then.
That's a thought. Yeah, but who do we ask, get permission to do that? Or who do we tell that that's what we're going to do?
Do it at night, and they won't.
You mean like when we put all them ski masks on and painted the post office? So, but in any event, that's all we're trying to do.
I know
Is,
what you're doing.
because there's a lot of people that, because we get people in there every summer, and they put their boat in, and for some odd reason they don't like walking through the water to hook up the boat pull on the trailer. Oh, there's a lot of people that are annoyed at the ton dock too, so, and that's a legitimate dock. But again, that's more information of what we want to do and where we're running into roadblock and who do we talk to.
I would like board's permission from Joe's to look at her town Alexandria-based subdivision law. The planning board and the zoning board has got a piece of property, but people they're coming in to talk to them on subdivision. This hasn't been updated in quite some time, and we have really no subdivision in our zoning laws right now, and we're going to need them. That's coming up in the near future for the zoning and planning. So if we could get Joe to work on that for us to get this updated, it's something that's going to be needed in this town.
Motion?
Yeah. Yeah. Taking over where you left off, Deb.
Thanks.
We haven't got a deal anymore to make motions, so I guess we'll have to house it.
Second.
Yes.
Joe, we just went ahead and approved for your firm to go ahead and look into the subdivision laws for the town.
Oh, I mean, the one we drafted 2008, let me take a look at them and see if they're still applicable?
Yeah. Yes.
I got a copy, thank you.
We got one coming, we got a subdivision that's going to be coming up in the near future for the planning and zoning. So,
Better hurry up and enact this then.
Right.
I'll go through it and.
I'd like to see, I've had some requests in the mild winter we had, that some of our people in the township would like to use our brush pit. But our concern is, of course, is what goes on down there. There's no way that we can oversee it and stuff like that. So I'm looking to see if we can go to the DEC to get some kind of, if they can oversee it more than, because they're the ones that are regulating it for us and telling us what we're doing wrong down there all the time, and see if we can keep it open a little bit longer for our local taxpayers in the community.
Nice if they were the ones that used it.
Pardon?
It'd be nice if our local taxpayers were the ones that used it.
Yeah, and I mean, do we want to look at something where the commercial haulers haul it in there and the taxpayers in this community have to pay for that to maintain it? I mean, we should have, I think they should be paying a fee. They're charging the customer to haul it away. And
They're not supposed to be dumping in there.
No, they're not allowed in there, but
Okay.
But they're there all the time.
I know it.
they're there all the time.
We see them go by the office.
your garbage dumped in there, is that what
We
you-
can't approve or allow commercial, because DC regulates it for no commercial dumping. The only commercial dumping go in there and treat stuff, they have to have it shipped. Is that here? So that's why when we were talking, I said, maybe you know, again, it reverts back, you know, they mandate and make all these rules and regulations, get them involved in how they want to handle it.
Right, and that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to have the board's permission if I go ahead and contact the DEC and say, exactly, what do we have to do here to make you people happy?
And the DEC is going to tell you that was a problem we've had all the years ever since the ice storm when we kept it open was we're responsible to maintain that. So any violation, the town is responsible for. So we got to be careful how much we open it. You know, for the half dozen people that are going to use it from now until April, you're going to have a garbage dump, place to throw white goods, commercial haulers, you know. They don't give us a lot of guidelines how to regulate it, but yet they hold us responsible.
Do you still have problems with people putting major appliances there?
It is. Go slow on the weekend.
Stay when we open.
Okay.
When we close it, is it a state closure? People still don't.
Well, they don't go to the road till
They
they do
crawl over.
They're dumping in there right now.
Yeah, they're dumping in there right now. I was down there the other day, there's a Christmas tree.
What happens to the issue? I think you guys have some cameras or something, you have cameras set up.
I think if we can get the DEC more involved in it, no matter what time of year it is, their laws are the solid waste laws. There are a lot higher fines than simply littering. Littering, you basically got to catch them, they got to own up to it. Where the DEC violation is solid waste, because it's I think that's $1,000 fine versus $25 or $50.
Plus, if you put something in place, DEC is probably going to defer to us, and then you got to enforce it.
Yeah,
So you don't have a police force.
Yeah.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. Can I go to the DEC and try to get them to enforce it more down there? Because they're the ones that are always coming back to say, this isn't right, that's not right.
Yeah.
Okay,
You can go soon. No cost nothing to talk.
that's right. I mean, it's not costing them.
You might watch it go closer.
Okay, the next item on is Alan Taylor's here to talk to us about small city block grants. Right, Alan?
I spoke to the board last spring in April timeframe about the Main Street Grant Program, and that's one of the grant programs that Council Clayton is participating in. And once again, the new paperwork just came out in December, and I spoke to Patty Ritchie back in December about the grant, and Patty actually thought it was a good idea, and she assigned someone to work out of her office to work with us on it. His name is Dan Peck, and I have his contact information. I think I shared it with you, Dale. But she would like to see this grant utilized in the town of Alexandria, similar to how they use it in Alexandria, in Clayton. The grant is back again this year. An applicant has to be a non-for-profit group, which would have to be either the town or the village of Alexandria. And you can apply up for $500,000. And of that $500,000, they would change it. $60,000 of it can be used to, they call it a streetscape program that would go along very nice with the project in the village, with the Riverwalk project. We used to do enhancements to the Riverwalk. I spoke around with some of the business owners in the village, and there are a number of people who like to take advantage of this grant. The grant, some of it, as far as storefronts, renovations, and facade, is a matching grant up to $50,000 per storefront, and it's the whole grant is designed for low-income housing. It's funded through HUD, and for low-income housing units, apartment units, they'll allow up to $25,000 per unit, and that's a 75% grant. And right now, there's an individual that owns a couple buildings in Alexander Bay, downtown in the village, who'd like to take advantage of this. It would take up a good portion of the grant. But what needs to happen is not all the business owners know about it, so there needs to be some type of public information going out so that everybody can get on board and know that if the town does apply for it, they can apply to the town to take sections of the grant. And so we need to have some type of public announcement and maybe a roundtable discussion with people from the community who can come in and hear what the grant's about. See if they want to be involved. Now, as part of the stipulations of the grant, the applicant has to be a non-for-profit organization that's been in existence for at least a year. And to my knowledge, there are none in the township that would apply. So it would revert back to, it would actually be the town would have to be the applicant. And my interpretation of the grant, there has to be an administrator assigned to it to administer the grant. And I don't know if the town has someone on the payroll right now who could do that, or if they'd have to look out to hire somebody.
But we would take lead agent on this, right? I mean,
The way I read the grant, it'd have to be a non-for-profit, which there is none that I know of in the town. And there's some certain non-for-profit requirements that they have to meet. I think Joe can better answer that question. But the way I read the grant, it would have to be the town would have to apply for it, or the village. And then they would administer it out to the people applying for the pieces of the grant.
so how would we move forward with this, Joe, if I wanted to apply for the grant?
We have to get the paperwork, the grant application paperwork, and complete it, and
That's a copy of it right here, if you'd like it.
Well, if you're gonna use it in the village, I think the village ought to apply for it.
Okay. Alan, did you say there was a reason the town needed to be lead agency?
No, I didn't say there was a reason. All I know, it has to be a
village or the town.
non-profit, has to be the applicant. And they have to be in existence for at least 1 year, and they have to meet, the terminology is some non-profit law.
I was gonna say, if we're looking at
Under New York
properties-
State non-for-profit corporation law.
If we're looking at properties in both the village and the town, I could see us doing it together or splitting it. If we're looking at properties
No,
not that way.
Part of the grant program is it has to be sectioned off, and this isn't a 1-year grant. You can apply for it year after year after year. But part of the stipulation is you have to identify a 1 to 3 square block area. You have to block out an area for the grant to be used in for this calendar year. Now, the person that showed interest right now, the block, the single block would be on, I think it's Church and,
Parkland Village.
Church, yeah, what's the other street? Church Street, coming up by the church. And of course, for storefronts to be applied, you'd have to include the blocks down by Market Street and down by Lower James Street. And if you want to use the 60,000, which is straight grant money, you don't have to match it with any other funds. I mean, it'd have to be designated down in the village allocation. But now, the village being the applicant for the Birdwalk project, I don't know if they could be the applicant for the Main Street grant and pull that $60,000 out and use along with their existing grant. But where if the town was the applicant for it, they could use the streetscape portion, 60,000, to do enhancements to the streets and sidewalks, which the Riverwalk project would be one of them. And the village does lie within the town's jurisdiction.
And that's where I'd like to move ahead with this if I could.
I have heard some people talk that as far as writing the grant, it's a rather extensive process. You might have to get a grant writer involved. I know usually the grant writers, they charge a fee. I think customarily it's up to 10% of the grant. So if you're looking to apply for, $500,000 grant, there's a lot of money that's coming out to pay for the grant writers. That's why I talked to Patty Ritchie, and she said that between the new mayor, Danielle Drury, and she assigned Dan Peck to help coordinate our efforts and get the application and involve the grant writer.
What's the deadline?
Deadline this year is, last year was April 29th, I believe it's in the same time period.
To have the grant in.
Pardon?
To have the grant in.
To have the application in.
Next board meeting.
Ideally,
What's the next board meeting?
Okay.
In the way I believe Clayton proceeded with this,
Oh, no,
I
you said that
believe the
Pat,
town of Clayton proceeded the first year as they wrote the grant. They got the grant approved, and within the grant, there's a 7 3/4% of the grant can be used for administration. I think after they applied for the grant the first year, they created the CDL, Clayton Developmental League, and they hired an administrator to administer that, and they used the funds out of the Main Street program to pay for the administrator's salary. And then in turn, she administered the grant and she applied for a follow-up grant.
did you say that Patty Ritchie would help us with a
She
grant
assigned
writer?
someone out of her office to work with us on it.
At no cost to At no cost?
That's not her quote. She assigned someone out of her office to work on this on it.
Dale, why don't you give Justin a call and talk to him about
See
it?
how it works.
Okay.
And another person in Clayton is Carly, who works in the CDL office. She's the paid grant writer.
Well, I would talk to Justin as the supervisor and see how their board handled that.
Okay. Okay, and then the report back to this board in February. Okay.
Just a reminder, the deadline is end of April, so if you wait for a report back in February and get something going, you're going to be looking at the deadline again.
Yeah, it's called burning the midnight oil once in a while. All right.
I personally would like to see the board proceed with some type of public meeting where people can get formed on it and see how many people like to participate in it.
We'll have it at the next board meeting.
We'll see what happens.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Couple letters from Hearts for Youth in the package. We're looking to use, one of them is Hearts for Youth.
Use of the Alexandria Central School for the arena.
Skating rink, right.
Figure skating show or something?
Well, yeah, at the end of,
April 28th, Saturday
April.
from 11 a.m. to
April
3.
28th.
right.
And they'd like to get in on Friday, April 27th to set everything up and
Right,
so there's no school that day.
Right. My question, do we have any idea when the ice is coming off this spring?
There's a guy that runs right there.
Tracy?
We'll say that there is 3 groups working on putting together a proposal to present to this board probably by next month to look for April and May ice. The same groups that wanted September ice.
Are they willing to pay what we're asking?
I've told them that the minimum that I would ever even think about recommending to you guys is $10,000.
I've gone over the figures with Tracy, and he's put a strong limit on that.
That's right.
If they bite, then.
We generally took it off in March, didn't we?
The end of March is when we've always taken our.
Yep,
last
after
week in
the
March.
ice show.
Tracy spent some time
Keep
figuring
in
his
mind, the
costs.
third week in March, we have state midget tournament there, so it'll be the actually last weekend before the figure skating does their show.
And I say Tracy's gone over his cost on the issue, and that's how he's come up with a price for that.
And figures work and figures work.
And we should know from them by when?
I should know something by next month's meeting.
Table it.
Yeah, we'll have to table it.
Table it till next month.
And also in front of us, Tracy went out and got a bid on some spray foam insulation. Tracy, can you explain to the board as to what you'd like to do with this?
The problem with both ends of our building is there is no insulation at all, and you can look right up and see daylight. And as this warmer weather, of course, even this winter that's affecting us with the warmer weather, it creates a great condensation problem. Making the ice is not the problem. Our problem is the condensation in our building, and we all know what the condensation eventually is going to do to that building. So insulating that and getting that outside air from really conflicting with the cold air inside would really help us tremendously in that building. We've rigged around fans, we've got heaters, we've got ways that we can burn a lot of it, but we need that extra help to get that insulated. And everybody I've talked to claims that this sprayed-on foam insulation is the only way to go on these steel buildings.
Is that something Rob and Gus to look into over there at the arena for us?
Look into it.
It's a $4,000 quote to get this work done.
That's the second quote you had, right, Tracy? We've got 2
Yeah,
quotes
we've
on it now.
got 2 other quotes that you've got. Both of them were $8,000 and more.
I guess my question is, Joe, are we required to get X amount of quotes, 3 quotes?
Well, it's under the competitive bidding threshold, so you're required to follow whatever you've got in place for a procurement policy, which is in front of you now. which is a little outdated, but what was the estimated cost of this?
$4,000.
I think we're under the word, aren't we?
I think if you look around, we've got
Yeah.
people.
We're under the word anyways.
Yeah, I mean, according to your policy, it's between 3 and 10, so you only need to get, wait a minute. It says 3 written quotes, but,
$310,000, 3 written
Right.
quotes.
what do you have, 3?
Dave should have 2, and Dale's probably got the third one up there, the 4,000. The other 2 were over $8,000.
We just have to make sure we have that for a file because.
Yeah, the
if
three,
we're gonna-
all three quotes should be in front of the board.
If we're gonna go through an audit,
If you're gonna act-
that's
We don't have to
file
do it
to
today.
read all the audits that are going on and what they're finding.
Right.
That's what I'm concerned about.
No, all 3 quotes should be in front of the board if you act on it.
You look to the next board meeting?
We can get that together and bring it to the next meeting, right? I mean,
Right.
You're busy, huh?
Invite Matt, my opinion.
Okay, this next on the agenda is the highway report.
This past month, under roads, we've been clearing in road pipes and some drainage issues, which is pretty much an ongoing event, cutting brush on some roadsides. We've got the night shift out when they aren't plowing, checking on the reflecting stuff on the signs, we're replacing mainly the stop signs and the traffic control devices with new signs. Equipment, no breakdowns, just general service and repairs. Under our snow and ice, crews are out 11 events the past 30 days, plowing and sanding. Just to give you an idea, labor costs are down about 46% to date compared to the last 3-year average under our snow and ice removal. Equipment material costs are down approximately 34% to date compared to our last 3-year average. I'm sorry.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got it. Talking with Dave, we met with Dave the other day, and there's an issue with the gas system at the town barn as far as the gas boy reader system hasn't been working, I want to say I think it's been about 4 years since you got a report off it, Dave? Is that right?
Since we got a written report, we've gotten monthly, we get the master meter things that Mike comes over and takes a readout. That's how we've been billing the fire departments in the other district. As far as the key system itself working,
It's it's an expensive machine. I think we just got some price quotes to replace it or fix it. Or actually, it would be replace it because fixing it is not worth it because it's outdated. We're looking at $13,000 plus $4,000 installation. Obviously not in the budget, obviously not something we can do now. My conversation with Joe about the situation is we're in violation because of the record keeping that we're not doing with this as far as balancing the gas levels that are required by the DEC. So if the board will let us, I'd like to get together with Dave and we'll work together, put together a system on paper so that we balance it on paper so at least we're within the DEC regulations.
I don't know if there's a company I told you about out of Syracuse. They're supposed to be up here sometime next week, and I'm going to see if I can get them to look at it and actually give us a written quote, maybe from Bach too, so we know exactly what the figures are. That would have to come on a general fund, fuel pumps.
I mean, I think $17,000 is a lot to spend on, the whole deal.
Bookkeeping of the gas, yeah.
Problem with it is right now we're back to the merit system as far as writing it down. The guys all have trip tickets in the truck, they write the fuel down, goes on the board, and I can take the total off the master meter and then bill out the fire department that, but we don't have the way to code, uncode keys or to control other than turning the power off completely to the pumps, the dispensers at night.
So
which
we
we
really
do.
have no checks and balances. Unless we are taking manual meter readings X amount of times.
And then you're going to apply it to what one, what
with
vehicle,
what's
what
coming
day,
out of
who put it in.
Which is what everybody's required to do as a tank.
The comptroller requires you to do that. I could be wrong, I was telling Brent the other day, I think that's an awful high because all we need is the tower and the circuit board replaced where the key lock system actually works. We've already got the modem, the fuel pumps are there, the tanks, so that's why I want to get another price.
Prices. No. David and I will work on that if everybody's okay with that.
Alan, do we have to make that appropriation on the fire districts tonight?
Do you think we'll wait on that budget transfer?
You can wait, yeah.
You want to do it next month?
Yeah, I do.
That's no problem,
Okay,
as long as we get it done, sir.
okay. So, I guess this is it. We're going to go into executive session. I need a motion to go into executive session for personnel and litigation.
I shall move, Bill.
Can I get a second on that?
Second.